Where do we want to be when we come back for InfoComm, assuming they invite us?
Yeah, I mean, they better invite us. We've been here 2 years in a row, and I feel like we've had we had a good audience, we had a good conversation, and people were interested in the topic. So I think the topic will probably evolve as we move into next year. But there's still always space to talk about, like, how can we ensure that tech is keeping up with making sure it's accessible by anyone? Right. And it's like accessibility was more like a term, like previously when people said accessibility, it was more so like, oh, that small group of people. Oh, but it's like, no, how can we all access it? Like, how do we access it? Right. How do we use it? Right. You said it's a UX UI issue, not just a small group right over there of people. So
it's universal. Yeah, and I feel like, as you pointed out, the accessibility conversation has constantly been evolving. And we've definitely seen a shift within the DEI space. It's not about diversity and inclusion. It's become, I think, more mainstream in the idea that more people are talking about accessibility now, because only the best marketers, only the best communication professionals are actually thinking, how do I make this a good experience? And making it a good experience about making it accessible experience.
And it's a business case. It's not just, how can I target for helping 5, 10, 100 people. It's how can I make sure that all customers are able to purchase then use my products and services. That's really what it is. It's globalization, more languages, different accessibility needs than we ever even thought about before, the way people use things, right? If we think of an example of bathrooms, they had to evolve bathrooms when globalization happened, because a lot of countries, they're used to having a bidet on the toilets. Here in the US, we could care less. It's fancy people like have bidets. But
I don't know about you, but I love my bidet. Yeah,
but you see,
life changing.
But like, are you gonna like go into a space and be like, why don't you guys have bidets? But you're gonna say, hey, like, things are changing. It's not just in my home, but a bidet is necessary. When I went to Thailand last year, every bathroom had a bidet. Every single bathroom. It was like a whole hose. It wasn't even just like the little toilet. My friends was like, why is there a hose at the side of the toilet? I was like, well, are we the weirdos, or are we behind? So you have to be innovating with what the global economy needs.
Exactly. No, absolutely. It's definitely keeping up, modifying, and like you said, innovating. I have nothing to add.
Yeah. Who are you people, anyways?
Huh?
Who are you people?
Oh my God! Hi, I'm Mariella Paulino. I am the founder of Candid Hearing, and I work to make the internet, the world, physical and digital, more accessible to people with hearing disabilities. I'm Jasmine, Dr. Jasmine Simmons. I'm a clinical audiologist. Dr. Jasmine. And I'm from Jacksonville, Ohio. I am Ohio. Ooh, Jacksonville, Florida. Okay.
You just all over the world.
I know.
I almost didn't catch it. I'm like, yeah, Jacksonville, Ohio. I don't go to either place, so what is it to me?
From Florida, and also I'm deafblind, so yeah, that's about me.
Oh, I have chocolate in my nose. What does it mean to be deafblind? Aren't you deaf or blind? What do you mean you're deafblind?
So I have a condition called Usher syndrome, and it affects your hearing, vision, and balance. So I was born deaf, and my vision is progressively getting worse. So as I age, my vision becomes more like tunnel vision, and then hopefully not, but one day I could be completely blind.
Yes, hopefully not. Knock on wood, all the things. And I am Georgie-Ann Getton, the founder of GSD Solutions. We provide IT and AV services in a consulting manner. We do implementation, integration, audits, you name it. And I've been in this space for a while. And I met these lovely humans. And Mariella, I've known almost 9 years now. And then Jasmine, I met last year at InfoComm when we did a very similar panel around accessibility and captioning. So yeah, we're excited to talk because, as you can see, we are a group of women of color in the millennial range, and just navigating the world with different skill sets, abilities, lifestyles. Some of us are parents. Some of us have a disability, whether it may be physical or mental or both. And so, how do we exist in a space that is typically not built for us, right? And it's like the more things you have, the more people want to exclude you. When it's just like, no, there's not. It doesn't have to be expensive or difficult to include me in the conversation and include me in the event, in the conference, in the concert. And so I feel like it's a duality. It's our job to say what things that we need in order so we could be included, and it's the outside party's job to listen or even ask, is this good? What does good look like what makes it work for you? So
you said something that I'm thinking about, which is how do we how do we navigate the world that exists that may not necessarily be built for people like us? And I think that the answer to that is we create it.
yeah,
Like we come to conferences like this and we say, like last year they didn't have closed captioning, and I want to think that it's because of our panel that we were like, hey, we're having a panel about accessibility, but like
there's no accessibility in the panel about accessibility.
No. Exactly. And I think that what I love about both of you and so many other people like you is that you recognize that the world that we want doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do we make those incremental changes to make that world possible for us? Like, how do we create spaces for ourselves where we can actually belong in that world? So for me, being able to be in the panel today and see closed captioning on the screen, I'm like, yes, when,
like
even
one
though,
step forward.
Even though there wasn't like captioning for the speakers, like we still
one at a time.
One thing at a time. And I think it's about recognizing the win. Like that's a major win that they're incorporating accessibility for this, the biggest AV conference I think in the world. They're incorporating accessibility. They're thinking about accessibility. Maybe next year they'll have like, I won't have to bring my Pixel phone to have captioning, but I think it's about recognizing the world we want doesn't exist yet.
And taking the steps to build it.
Exactly. And I think that that's a really, really powerful thing that really speaks to the community building, because this work doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens when one person gets access. They called you first.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the ripple effect.
Exactly.
They reached out to me to talk about, because in a lot of my content, just naturally, I would talk about it, accessibility and captioning and making sure that, translations and once they called on me to do more, I was like, hey, I can go only so far, right? I'm the producer and I don't have a disability that requires captioning, but I do know captioning is necessary. But I have someone that is more of an advocate in the space, and she actually has a disability, so she could speak from real life experience, not just what we see as a producer. And I looked in Mariella.
Yeah, and I appreciated that so much, and I think that that really speaks to what allyship is. It's not just about like, oh, I'm holding the stage. Like, this is my big opportunity to, talk about this and like be a thought leader. This is like, oh, I have expertise in this space, but I'm going to bring somebody that has that lived experience. And
Absolutely.
then I brought in Dr. Jasmine because there's only there's a limit. And I love what you said today at the conversation. Is like, disability is a spectrum. Like, there are some people that may just need glasses, and then there are some people that are legally blind. And how deafness is a spectrum. There are people like me who use cochlear implants and can hear, and then there are other people that need American Sign Language that have no access to sound. And it's when we include people all over that spectrum. So when you invited me, I was like, okay, I recognize that there are certain privileges that I have. Who else can I invite to be a part of this conversation? Who also understands the importance and can help us create the space that we need. And I was like, Dr. Jasmine could be a part of that conversation. And I think that is like, there's a lot of intersectionalities. And you brought this up yesterday too. There's a lot of intersection, and today. and like just 5 minutes ago, this is like your topic. There's so much intersectionality in like what we bring to the table, and so much diversity in our experiences. And I think that having these types of conversations allows us to really create change, because all our individual perspectives allow us to really think about what do we need to create that world that works for each of us with
Mm-hmm.
our own unique
Mm-hmm.
lived experiences? I love
Yeah.
that.
No, I mean, it's you mentioned like building. Both of you guys like mentioned the importance of building and just spreading awareness is so important because like if you don't know, how are you going to implement different accessibility components?
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that we did this panel today, I think like the ripple effect, just one person being that exposed, and then the next person be like, "Hey, PowerPoint has captions." Oh,
Mm-hmm.
really? Then the next person, it just keeps going, and that is how we spread accessibility. It's just teaching one person at a time, and that is what is going to help build spreading that awareness.
Yeah, and I think tying in asking the right questions, right, and that, or just asking questions. Period. I think a lot of people are so used to, especially when you're in like a corporate job or you're, in a industry that's been around for decades, right? You just do the things that they've always done, and so it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, we people have always been deaf, people have always been blind, but we've never have caption. Why do we need it now? You
We've
know what I
never
mean?
had a
Right.
client that was
Yes.
blind. We've never been an issue.
And so it's never
Right.
been an issue, and it's just like, hear yourself. We've never had a client that has been blind. So that means out of the millions of people on this planet that are blind or on the spectrum, like you said, of being blind, whether that's glasses or completely blind, and there's way many more things in between, how many clients are you missing out on? How
Right.
many clients have you, would
Close the door.
close the door on? And you don't even realize that you
Mhm.
closed the door on them.
And not even close the I'm so sorry,
Yeah,
not
no,
even
go ahead.
close the door, but also people that you actually worked with but didn't disclose their disability.
And that's another thing. I heard you all talking about that. And so, honestly, when Mariella mentioned not disclosing beforehand, it kind of got me to ask the question in my own head of like, on job applications for so long, I know they say, do you have a criminal record was a question. Gender, and no, I don't think gender. It was like racial background, like, Black, Latino. And they did not have a question that asked, do you have a disability? And so I only thought of it to the aspect of, does it matter? So this is a question. Does it matter which disability that you have? And if you list your disability, are you then likely to not get that job or not get that interview?
Yes.
And then the second part of that, if you don't list your disability and then you come to work and you say, I need captioning, I need, I have a cochlear implant, whatever, are you then in trouble in some type of way? Are you now liable to be fired, right?
Mhm.
Are you like, or as a company, as a business owner, like my thought was, if I would have hired someone not know in advance, like, where does my responsibility for providing services for them start and end? I don't know where it starts and ends. Is it that they should come equipped with their own resources to maintain and do what they need to do, or how much of that falls on me? So this is a real question of y'all. Like, as a business owner, somebody doesn't disclose. I love their resume. I love their that they get hired.
Mhm.
What do, and now they're saying I need to caption and everything. Is it my responsibility, or like, can I? And if I don't provide it, am I now getting sued? Like, I don't want my business to get sued. I have a small business. Like, but
Mhm.
where does that start? So if you could add in anything on that aspect.
Do you want to take it on?
Yeah, so with American Disabilities Act, I believe you have to have at least 15 employees or more. So if you have under 15 employees, you legally don't have to require those accommodations. But if you have 15 or more, you legally have to provide those accommodations. So
Okay.
as a small business, it really depends. But then also is how can you provide those accommodations if you're under 15? How can you best support your employee? So that is something to be important or to be mindful of.
Yeah.
What the key to think about if you are an employer is the word reasonable in reasonable accommodations.
Correct.
Because very often, the reality is that 1 in 4 people have a disability. Most people with disabilities never disclose their disability because of fear of discrimination,
Mm-hmm.
bias, and stigma. the way that the Americans with Disabilities Act is not always the way that the American with Disabilities Act, the ADA, plays out in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
There have been many instances throughout my career. I've been in government, I've been at the federal government, I've been in higher ed, I've been in nonprofit, for profit. And I remember very early on in my career, I had a job where I got the job. My resume was solid. Like, I got through the interview. And a few months later, the executive director said to my face, because I had requested about $2,000, $3,000 for real-time captioning because we would have these events. And I had asked her for a budget of about $2,000, $3,000 for real-time captioning. And they approved it. For them, this was a drop in the bucket. A drop in the bucket. Like, they had the money. But she said to me with a smile, if we had known that you had a disability and that you would have needed accommodations, we would not have hired you. And I laughed in that moment because I didn't know how to respond.
Yeah, I mean,
what
how?
do you say to that? I was
Yeah.
like, but that really got me thinking, how many other times has somebody turned me down from a job that I was qualified for because they didn't understand that, or what accommodations I need, and
And they assumed maybe it would be thousands and
Or 10,000.
10,000
Absolutely.
versus the 2,000 or
Exactly.
even less that it could have been.
It was really empowering. I think one of the best things that happened after COVID is that there has been so much development with closed captioning technology. You have Zoom, you have Meet, you have Microsoft, you have Google, you have Transcribe. There's just like an explosion
Yeah.
in people, one, recognizing that they need captioning, and there's a lot more awareness around accommodation. So going back to your question, as a business, now I don't need a budget for $2,000 or $3,000 for closed captioning because I get that same service for free on my Pixel phone. When I go into in-person meeting, I have that service for free on Zoom. And I think that that's the case for a lot of different disabilities. People know what they need. And for a lot of individuals, the accommodations that they need are often free.
Yep.
It's like something as simple as having like a quiet space if you are like easily overstimulated or having dim light in your office. It's not like a 10, 20,000. And even then, I think it's also, it's depending on the employee to talk about what your needs are, because
Right.
and a lot of people talk about like, should I disclose? And it really depends on the individual. But one thing that really frustrates me is when people say, oh yeah, you should disclose, but not everybody is at the right place in the journey or able to disclose. And I think it's really, really critical to talk about these things because very early in my career, I am sure people would not have hired me if they knew I had a disability, but I had to prove myself. And get the job, and then when I got the job, I disclosed. I don't do that anymore. Like, hello, you're gonna take this?
Take me as I am. And it from the outside again, as an employer, looking in, we're also looking in. It's just like, one, you have to be aware that you don't know what you don't know. So there are probably many people at certain organizations. Somebody might be watching this like, oh, they might be questioning like, oh, does so-and-so on our team have like a disability that they didn't disclose, especially now that, like you said, the pandemic. I know, and there's even technology. So last year at InfoComm, and I feel like I'm rattling a little bit, but I'm getting back on track. Last year at InfoComm, one of the sessions that I participated in, it was showing like a video webcast technology that would work like be in the background recording the person while they did work. And that's because for remote workers, what was happening at one point was that, let's say you hired someone in another country, let's say you hired Abdul, right? And then Abdul would, like, the work would be done, but it would be like different quality of work at times, right? And so what we realized is that like Abdul maybe had like 2 other friends, and sometimes it would be Abdul, sometimes it would be Sarah, sometimes it would be Kaylee, and they would rotate. So what they started doing to kind of oversee that was they would have the cameras that you use as a webcam, but when it's not in webcam, but when you're in work mode, it records your space to know like how much time are you actually doing the work, where are you at the computer. And I think it didn't like record it, but it like kept like a facial recognition kind of loop going. And then that made me wonder, not only like in a situation where Abdul may be using Kaylee and somebody else and Sarah to help, But what if Abdul had a disability where they had no legs,
Right.
where they had one arm, right?
Mhm.
But like I could completely function with the one arm, and they didn't want to disclose that because you might look visually at this person and say, I don't know if I'm gonna have it. I don't know if I want to deal with nobody. But the job doesn't require you to have those things. If you're hiring a stock manager at a warehouse at this time, to my knowledge and what's publicly accessible, you would want to have somebody that, because she has all limbs. But now there's prosthetics, there's new robotics, there's new technologies that are coming out that maybe in 3 years it doesn't matter if you have all of your biological limbs, because there's robot arms and robot legs that would allow you to probably even be stronger than a person with full limbs. So we probably are going to be looking for like bionic humans, right? You know what I mean? We don't know what's in 10 years.
Right.
And so, that just makes me go back to my original thought of like, always question, always be curious as the person that is that person that has the disability or needs accessibility, and the person that is quote unquote society deemed as like perfectly fine. We both, from both sides, we have to question like, how are things changing, what is necessary, and how can I be reasonable and have the conversation and ask you what you need, instead of me assuming, oh man, I'm gonna have a sonographer every time, I'm gonna have to put large font and everything. She's so expensive.
Right.
I say, hey Mariella, what does it look like for you to be successful at your job? Then you tell me, okay, if I had this, and this, it would help a lot. We saw ergonomic chairs. Everyone wanted to give their employees ergonomic chairs. They wanted to give them gym memberships. They wanted to give them food at work. How is that different than making sure that you have captioning?
And I love that. And I love that. And I say that because like my manager actually does something that I really, really love recently. And one of the things that I really struggle when we're having meetings is having a meeting, paying attention to what people are saying, because I'm reading the closed captioning and taking notes. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I cannot multitask at that level.
Yeah.
It's just like way too hard.
And then you got to be on camera, so you have to.
It's like either you want me to be present and like engage with people, or you want me to take notes. I cannot do both. And I just had a conversation with him because there was some follow up after that meeting, and I was like, I was present. But the note taking aspect, like that's lost. And so we had a conversation about that, and I said, honestly, I'm really struggling with this. And I think I have a solution, right? And the solution is very simple. It's record the meeting with the transcript on Google Meet. Really easy. I can take that transcript. I can run in a ChatGPT. I can have my notes full. That's easy. It's free.
Or even like Zoom AI Companion. I was just talking. It will literally, so you can be real time. It'll give the summary of it. And so let's leverage these tools to collaborate with the human potential.
Exactly. Right. And that is the conversation I had with my manager last time. Because he asked, how do we make this better next time? That gave me, it's not like, Mariella,
keep up, figure it out.
Right.
Keep it up. Like, what are you doing wrong? It's like, how can I work with you? And I appreciate it because not every manager does that. Like, takes the time to like ask the employees, like, what do you need to be successful? And it's as simple as having a conversation. Maybe even giving me time to process that conversation, and then at the next meeting, I can have an answer for you when I thought about the challenge that I'm experiencing, and then giving me the space and the time to empower myself to be able to do my job. And I think that that's the case for a lot of different disabilities, not just like hearing or cognitive or whatever. It's like we all know ourselves. We are all experts in our own lives and our own needs. And this is not just about taking notes. It's like maybe you just have kids, or maybe you are in a busy space or whatever. Like it's just about having a conversation with your employee or as an employer, and just asking questions, being curious, like giving people time and space to process.
And being approachable, like that is key. Just because if you're not approachable, how are you going to have your employees feel comfortable to even disclose and to feel open? Hey, I need, like, I'm having a difficult time processing. So if you're not approachable, it makes it hard. So that's definitely important. And so I love what your manager did for you and what my manager have done for me in the past. And I didn't even actually ask for it, but in the meeting, she'll just set up captions on Teams, and she'll like even enlarge it. I'm like, oh, that's really sweet. Like, and it's just the little things that really lightens me up, and just being consistent, just being consistent so that way your employees can feel safe to approach you.
I can't remember which one of you said it during the panel, and it's really going to stick with me, but it's about leadership with empathy. Is it?
Yeah, I think I was talking about that. Yeah.
It was leadership with empathy. Do you want to talk about what that means?
Yeah, and it's just having consideration for all the other parties involved, because I think there's an assumption that we have that if you have, again, what society deems as like you're fine, you're normal, right? Whether that's within neurodivergence, disability, physical or mental, and you're a normie, and then so your brain doesn't think about what's happening in the deaf community, what's happening in the blind community, what's happening in the neurodivergent community, what's happening in the LGBT community. And if you are, a white male, you're not taught, or how can I say this, expected to be thinking about what's happening with people of color, women, etc. And I think that's the fallacy right there, where we allow it to, not because it doesn't impact us directly, doesn't mean it doesn't impact us indirectly. And so something that might be happening within the deafblind community can directly impact my experience as a person that is not deafblind. And I don't know that because I've always had what I needed. So it's not until somebody puts a flag on it, and that's when I kind of like brought up the DEI conversation, because people that were like, yes, no more DEI, because it's like, because a lot of people, when they hear DEI, first thing that comes to mind, Black people, immediately. Black people, Hispanic people, people of color, women. That's red flags immediately. Okay, we don't need special spaces for them. Okay, I hear you. But then when they started hearing about ramps are going to, problems that is going to come up with accessibility, LGBTQ issues that were also looped into that, right? Employment issues, pregnant women. And they're like, hold on, we don't want them to lose stuff. Oh, hold on, wait a minute.
Wait.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wait. We are DEI.
Now you realize that we are all DEI, because diversity, equity, inclusion impacts all of us.
Right.
Not some of us, all of us. And the programs were created because certain groups had it worse than others. This is a fact. They were overlooked. There's a lot of people, and it's easy, society-wise, from whatever reason, it's easy. People are overlooked, and so they created special spaces for the overlooked, but they were still providing services for Gen Pop, regular normal folks. And then there was an imbalance that started happening. And then I'm not gonna lie, certain people did abuse that power, and people are gonna always abuse power and opportunity.
Always.
And so that's when you are in a position of power as a leader, you have to not abuse that, and you have to proactively not abuse your power. As in, somebody comes around, be empathetic, ask questions. What does success look like? How can I help you? What do you need? And as leaders, it is our responsibility. So and that's a great position to tie back into what you were just saying around like the manager-employee engagement. You talked about a good experience with your manager. You talked about another good experience with your manager. Everyone has a boss. Even if I as myself, as a CEO of a company, my boss is my clients. My boss is my employees. I have to make sure that they get what they need, and I must ask questions. Otherwise, I won't know what they need. And if I move from my assumptions of what they need and they don't feel comfortable communicating, we are going to crash.
There's going to be a disconnect.
It's going to be a disconnect, and they're going to be like, wait, I thought you did that. No, I thought you did that. Nobody did it. Now it's a problem. And problems are expensive. Problems are expensive to solve, but if we be proactive, it will still have a price tag, but it's never going to be as high as a reactive solution to a problem trying to go backwards, right? If we had done right in the beginning, we wouldn't be trying to spend so much money and time on solving global warming.
Yes. That's like going backwards and backtracking.
Reversing. It's twice as hard. If you have a white shirt, you throw it in the wash, and now it's, with the red dress, and now it's a pink. It's going to be real hard to turn that thing, because it's never going to fully get back to what it was. So how about we keep that shirt white? We make sure we take our precautions to wash it with bleach, wash it by itself, hand dry, take care of it, versus now, oh my gosh, it's going to always have that tint of pink. And the damages it had to go through to get back to its original self, it will never be the same.
I use the example of you cannot sprinkle eggs on a cupcake after you've baked it. And I think that that's the thing with accessibility. As I mentioned in the panel today, when you think about accessibility, when you think about inclusion, DEI really is about creating access. I think people think of DEI as this thing that happens over there and affects those people over there. But what I really think DEI is really about accessibility. It's about creating access. And what I think people forget is that accessibility is about the user experience. It really comes back to that. Only the best marketers, the best designers, the best product managers are really thinking about accessibility because accessibility is about the human experience. That is what this is. DEI is about the human experience. It's about how do we create these spaces that anyone can access, not just those people over there,
But everybody.
but everybody. Just like how do we make an experience mainstream? I want to buy this bottle of like grapes. How do we make sure that anyone can buy these grapes, whether they're paying cash, whether they're paying with credit card, with Venmo,
Yeah. We
crypto?
think of it in that way, and it's no doubt about it, no question about it.
Right.
But then when we say, is the font legible? Is the font large enough? No.
That's too much work.
That's too much work. But we want to make sure that we have all the payment options.
Right. Tab,
Venmo,
PayPal,
crypto, barter.
We're pushing it. But I think that really is like what that's about. How do we make sure that somebody in a wheelchair can go up to the counter who wants a pack of grapes and gets a pack of grapes without like too much problem. And I think that that's really what we're struggling with in this country. Like, I got this cup of like water, but it's like I look at it, it's a green bottle. If I didn't know any better, I would think this was like Heineken.
Yeah,
you know?
Right.
So, and I know in some countries you have like the little dots at the very top, and that is Braille.
Yeah.
You see those?
Even like medicine, have
Yeah.
Braille.
That's
Yeah.
cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they have it in like shampoo bottles too. So it's like when you go to a hotel, you're not like putting like conditioner in your private parts. You're like, you go in and you can like actually feel. And then there's some shampoo and body washes, and if you actually look really closely, they all have different shapes. And you can actually tell what is what, and there is some intentionality that's happening in the United States. That's very recent around this. But then other countries that are more aware about accessibility, they've thought about these things already. Like in Japan, for example, Japan is actually one of my favorite cities because Japan is designed for people that are older. Like it is like the entire country is designed for people that are older. There's so much accessibility in the country. Like there are the little, what do you call them? Like the things on the floor, the little,
like the bumps.
Yeah, the little bumps all over the country. Like menus are accessible. Like it's just such a welcoming and accessible country, and it's because people think about accessibility again. Not as this thing over there for those people. No.
It's not an add-on; it's a feature.
Everybody, we're creating for like tourists to be able to buy things. We're creating for our own older generation of parents. Like it's such a beautiful thing when you're able to see something as simple as being able to buy a bottle of water and then just press on it and know that for somebody, the experience of being able to touch a bottle and know this is going to be water, who may not see the bottle, who may not know that this is bubbly water, for them to just go up to the counter, do a quick touch, and know exactly what they're getting. And it's so powerful and empowering. And only the best marketers and the best product designers actually think about this stuff. So.
Yeah. No. Everybody becomes disabled at one point in their lives,
and that goes to the graphic.
Yeah. Like I was literally just thinking about like if you get cataract surgery or LASIK, you're temporarily disabled. You may have difficulty seeing until it heals again, and so in those moments, I feel like sometimes people typically will wait until something happens, and now they're like, oh, we need to do X, Y, and Z. But why not think about it beforehand and understand like lack of exposure, but learn, educate yourself, and be in different spaces. Like if you're going to conferences, challenge yourself by going different talks to expose yourself. Don't stay in that comfort zone. Oh, let me just go to a certain talk because this is my specialty. This is what I'm comfortable in. Like that's how you get that exposure is pushing yourself out of that comfort zone and going different things to expose yourself to understand what people are like. Oh, this is she has a cochlear implant. Oh, captions. So let me learn more about that. Oh, PowerPoint has oh wow, like so that's how you really grow and evolve.
Yeah, and I'd like to add, based on what you were both saying, like accessibility, like what comes after making something more accessible is like allowing people that, and no matter how much accessibility they need, some people need a lot of accessibility and some people just need one or two things. But what it allows us to do as individuals is gain that sense of individuality and gain that sense of independence and autonomy, right? Where if a person, like I think we were just early in this conversation, we were saying like people have always been blind and then they weren't always captioning. But if we go back further in time, people that had certain disabilities needed a person as a guide, a person that, would do for them. They were heavily dependent on someone else that had more abilities to provide for them and their livelihood. And now, right, so you may completely be fine cognitively, but because you're deaf or blind or have missing limbs or ADHD, whatever, now you needed a whole entire other human. And I think this leads into something that we discussed and I would love to talk about here is just how allyship has shifted. Because in the past, allyship required more of that person to truly be with the individual that had the disability on a permanent basis and literally an extension of them. Now, with these tools, we are able to create more autonomy in a person with disability, and they less and less need the other individual. The support is nice, but how does an ally like balance this shift in or role to or brothers and sisters that may have disabilities? And we were talking about just how can we truly be an ally instead of just like saying like, oh, we're an expert on that, we've been studying disability for years, I should be at the stage talking about disability, versus I understand disability, but you are the true experts because you not only have the understanding, but you have the lived experience. Because I have the understanding, but I do not have the lived experience. So how can we be better allies is the real question.
Yeah, take that on. Take it on.
I mean, so and we talked about earlier, like saviors, and that is so important to not be a savior. Like, and people typically want to think, oh, I see, I see this person, one person walking down the street. Let me go help them. Yes, literally, and that has happened to me before, and I'm just like, whoa, get your hands off of me, like,
I don't know you like that.
you? Like, and so like that's scary. It's scary, especially when you can't see the person and they just approach you. And so it's so important to be mindful. And if you notice somebody, if they are just walking, let them be. Like, if they're not struggling, you don't have to jump in. Like, and sometimes people feel the urge to help. Like, let me go help this person. Like, oh, boo them. Like, poor them. Let me go help them. Stop. No, you don't need to do that. Just go on or be an ally by, oh, I see them struggling, like, let me go open the door or something. You don't have to,
or even really ask, like, hey, would you like some help crossing this street? And and allow the person to say no and not be offended by that no.
Yes.
Exactly.
I want to call that out though, because it's like when we were at the main conference floor, we were about to order food. One of the things that I did is that I actually went up to you and I was like, hey, do you need help? You're like, no, I'm good. And I'm like, okay, cool.
And
it's
then
like,
you just kept it moving.
There's no need to take it personally. Like, you got it. You like, and I think that that's the thing. It's like people forget. Jasmine lives in a world where I don't exist. You figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't need to like go and save your day. I am here to save you today.
Like, what would Jasmine have done without me? Yeah, she would have made it.
Right.
It's like you got it, you figure it out. And what I love about like that specific scenario is that most people when they need help they'll be like, hey Mariella, I need you to help me with the money. Or like yesterday you were like, I'm gonna hold on to you to cross the street. Like you know what you need, and I trust you enough to communicate what your needs are to me, and for me to be able to meet you somewhere. And if I'm not able to help you, to tell you, hey, I'm not able to help you, maybe Georgie can do that.
Right.
But there's enough trust in your persona. Like I have to give you enough dignity to respect that you got it.
Right.
That I don't need to like infantilize you because you live your life. And I think so many people forget that when it comes to disability. Like so many people feel this need of wanting to help
to the point it harms.
What was that?
Like they want to help so badly that it harms. And a quick story I'll share is like I know a person that they have a mental disability, they have ADHD, and their parents is just so like, you know, the kid is like a teenager now, and their parents just really don't let them try experiment with cooking, don't let them you know, have independence to walk home and do different things. And so I'm just like, while this person does have a form of a disability, what you're doing will disable them 10 times more.
Yes.
What you and then people, you know, like, and this doesn't only reflect with disabilities, it reflects with children, right? We have the term with like helicopter parenting, and people are surprised when I say like my kids, you know, they eat all the different vegetables, they go laundry, they do dishes, they do this, that, and that. They're like, well, what if? And I'm like, you're right. What if? But if they never tried it and experienced it and learned how to do these things, then they will never learn how to do these things.
I have such a good story for this. You know, I really admire my mom because I feel like my mom recognized that I had a disability because I wasn't born with a disability. I became disabled at the age of 7 to meningitis. Long story, sidetrack, not going there. But my mom realized that I had the challenge of being a woman, of being a Latina woman, with a disability. And so she was like, you're going to figure it out. We're going to prepare you for the real world. And I remember when I was in high school, I actually did a study abroad, and I went to Costa Rica. And it was my first time like traveling by myself. Costa Rica.
Big girl.
Okay. So I have hearing batteries in my cochlear implant, and I have to charge those batteries. If my batteries are not charged, I don't hear. And if I don't hear, it's very hard for me to communicate. My mother had me travel with one of those big backpacks, for like, you know, hiking travel backpack. She packed the entire backpack with AA batteries. Like I'm not talking about like, you know, like, no, she packed the whole backpack with like AA batteries because she was terrified that I was going to be in Costa Rica. The electricity was gonna go out because I was like, you know, out in the jungle, and I wouldn't be able to charge my batteries. And she packed this entire hiking backpack with AA batteries, and I'm there, you know, like 16 years old, like bag is on the fucking mountain with like a backpack full of AA batteries. Why is this important? Because my mom wanted to prepare me to know that if I can make it out in Costa Rica, I can make it out in college.
You can do anything.
I can do anything. And so it's that level of autonomy that like you're gonna figure it out. Because I'm not gonna be around to be figuring things out for you.
Right.
You're gonna go out there and you're going to face the world by yourself. And you're gonna struggle. You're gonna be on the struggle bus, but you're going to figure it out.
Yes.
Oh my God, it's giving me goosebumps. You're gonna figure it out because I know that if you can tackle Costa Rica, you can tackle the workplace, you can tackle corporate America, you can tackle going to college, you can tackle relationships, you know. And so it's like Costa Rica was a big deal. Like I'm in a whole other country by myself with a whole bunch of teenagers, and it was hard. And there was like probably like one time that the electricity went out in that whole month. Just one
But you was
time.
ready.
But I was ready. I was
You're
ready.
ready.
With my batteries. And so it's like that's a level of like parenting that children with disabilities need. That's a level of like support that allies, not necessarily like you're not going to give your employee like an entire, hiking backpack of batteries, but it's the trust in them that they are going to be able to do the job. It's the trust in them that they will communicate what their needs are. It's the trust in them that they know what they need more than you know what they need.
Yep.
It's the trust to give them the space to advocate when they say, hey, Mike, I'm really struggling with note taking and paying attention in meetings. Is the trust in them? Okay, thank you for sharing that. I'll give you some time to think about what a solution to that would be. It's that trust and that autonomy and that empowerment that people with disabilities need. Not, you know what, just don't come to the meeting. That is not empowerment.
We'll say you didn't look after, or we'll say, but I want to be a part of it.
Exactly. And I think that that's what's missing in so many spaces of allyship. It's not just about, I'm an ally. Like, that's not it. It's about, you're an ally how? You're an ally because you are doing what exactly? Are you inviting people with disabilities to your organization to apply for jobs? Are you changing your hiring process? What? Like, it's not just about like putting a little sticker, I'm an ally. It's like doing the work of actually being an ally.
No, absolutely. No, that was a really beautiful story about Costa Rica. I love it. But like, I did want to talk about a story. I remember my very first audiology job, and this 25-year-old guy came in, and he had a cochlear implant, and so we were talking, and his batteries broke, and I'm like, okay, so you need to order batteries. He was like, how do I do that? And it took me back because I'm like, you're 25. You should know. Like, and he's been deaf his whole life, so it's not like he just got the cochlear implant. So I'm like, what do you mean? Like, so you can either call Cochlear or you can go on their website. And he was like, I don't know how to do that. My mom did all that for me, and that clicked because my mom, my dad was, you're gonna do this yourself. You're old enough, you know how to do it. We'll walk you through it. You don't, so that's how my parents were, and I have to understand that that's not everybody's parenting. But just being exposed your children, show them that they are capable.
Yes,
they are capable.
And what some looming topics that could be like believing in the person, trusting them, giving them autonomy, and practice, right?
Exactly.
So what I'm hearing a lot of is like, oftentimes it's going to be like the parent's role, but it doesn't have to be a parent. In the workplace, you could put a person in this like scenario or assimilation. So your mom, what she did by giving you that pack of batteries, right? Like, it was a metaphor as well as like an actual thing. Like, she simulated what happens when you don't have electricity to go and charge it the way you've always done it. You'll need these batteries, and what if you need more than one? You have a whole bunch. And just letting you know that like the load is yours to carry, and the load is yours to carry. I will help you, but at the end of the day, the load is yours to carry if you want these things. And so you're gonna have to talk up and
the symbolism.
And I think when we practice our children, and that's what I learned from my own parents, and like my with my kids now too, I'm like, I don't want to be no longer here the next day, but if I am not, the load is literally theirs to carry. Can they manage it? Have I seen them manage it? And then I could, while I'm watching them manage it, I could say, hey, lift it up this side, put it slanted instead. I could
support
give tips.
Them.
You could give tips. Like, it's like scaffolding. So in psychology, like, there's this term of like literally building scaffolding. So like school, parenting, like those are areas where it's like you are the building, but this scaffolding is making sure you're stable while you're still working on yourself. And at a certain point, the scaffolding will go away. And what do you have? You have to maintain on your own. And if you never knew how to do it, now, if you never had to experiment with it, so get it wrong while I'm here, right next to you to say, hey, hun, like let's fix this. Because if you came back from Costa Rica and it just didn't work, the batteries are bad. Now your mom could have been saying, okay, what is how can we together find an alternative solution, and then you test that solution. So now you know, in case of emergency, you know how to handle it. But she had to experiment. She had to allow you to be successful or allow you to fail.
Right.
Failing people don't allow folks to fail, and it's like, I think we are so guilty of that, because I think that is a big assumption that we have as people that, again, like, as a person that doesn't have a known disability, right? And I'll say that because you never know, or situations could change. I might say like, oh, I don't want you to walk in front of me, or like, I'm going to overly protect you because I don't want you to fail. No, fall, bust your ass off, to tell you, okay, now you know how to identify puddles. Now you know how to actually use your cane. I'm pretty sure when you first started using your cane, you was tripping and falling all over yourself. I mean, I feel like if I was to ever I would not know what to do, because that's how does a baby learn to walk? By falling, busting their behind, right? How does a person learn how to do these things? People ask, how did I get so good at speaking and talking and being on camera? I'm like, well, because if you look at my old YouTube videos, I look ridiculous. That's how. That is how. I've had hundreds of thousands of hours of practice. And then you build up that habit. But it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be difficult. There is going to be failure. But why is that a bad thing? And I think that's what a lot of times people that are on the outside think of it as, no, why would I want her to get hurt if I could just do it for her? Why would I want Mariella to be stressed out and have anxiety if I could just tell her to skip the meeting?
Right.
No.
Let her skip.
Allow her to do hard things and figure it out, and then we work on a solution at the same time. Life is never going to be easy, and that's just a fact. So let's stop trying to make it easy, and let's make it more accessible.
Yep. I would like to add. That's beautiful.
We can close up that.
But no, I would like to add, like, what you said is beautiful, like, because I have my friend, she is amazing and she is very accommodating, but it's a point where it can be a little too accommodating. Like, hey, watch your step right there. I'm like, hey, like, let me do. Yeah. Like,
I told you about that part, and I kept it pushing. I said, hey, sweat over there, bye.
Right. Like, and I'm like, it's okay. Like, if I trip, I trip. Like, if I fall, I fall. Like, just so I think people get so consumed by, like, let me protect you. Let me make sure you're safe. Like, and if the person doesn't ask for your help and they fall, like, that's on them. They will figure it out. Like, oh, well, next time there's a step there. I'll remember that. Like, especially if you bust your butt, like, I will remember that. Okay, like, well, let me, like, shuffle. Okay, there's a step right there. Step down. We will figure it out. And like, I wanted to mention infantilization. A lot of times people treat people with disabilities as kids, as children, and they're like, oh, it's okay. You can skip out on that meeting. Oh, it's okay. Like, good job. Like, no, we're adults.
Yeah, like, why are you applauding me for showing up?
Right. Like,
it's like you go to the supermarket and it's like,
oh my gosh, you did this by yourself.
You're able to go shopping. You can travel by yourself. Like,
oh my God, you get an Uber. I'm so proud of you. Like,
you beat all the odds. No, I just applied, dude. Like, what are you talking? There's like a meme about this where just like, it was like, the guy, it was like a white dude, and it was a meme. I think it was like maybe SNL. I don't know where it came from, but it was just like this white guy saw this black woman, and he's like, you had to overcome so much to be here. She's like, I took the bus. Like, what are you talking about? And you experienced this in so many areas, and I'll tell a quick story. When I went to Vegas a couple months ago for a conference, it was the majority white folks, and it is what it is. I know. And it was in the IT industry. And then this guy that was sitting next to me, he was like, oh, we started chatting, banter, where are you from, da-da-da. So we were discussing where I'm from. I was like, I was born and raised in Jamaica, but I've been in the Bronx the majority of my life, but I lived in Long Island for a bit. He's like, oh, what part of Long Island? So we started with the Long Island segment, and then he's like, oh, and then he's like, what part of the city are you in now? I'm like, in the Bronx. So I was like, oh, you in the hood? You from the hood? I said, no. No. No, I'm not. Like, I live very much so in the suburbs. Like, he's like, no, I'm not. I don't mean it like that. Like, I grew up in like Chicago mostly. Like, I'm from the hood. I'm like, you can be from the hood. I'm telling you that I'm not.
Right. Stop comparing.
Like, fam, If that's on you. Right, that's on you. That's not my lived experience. I don't know what you refer to.
Yeah.
And so, it escalated and it got worse, but I could tell, and I'm not gonna lie, in this conversation, this man, it escalated and got really bad actually, but I could tell at the base, because I'm very empathetic, I like to connect with people. At the base, I think what he was trying to do was to connect with me, find a line of connection. But based on his own biases, his own misconceptions, he thought that this basis of connection had to look a certain way. And because of that, he actually didn't listen to what I was saying about who I was, where I came from, what my values were, what my priorities were. He just saw a black girl at a tech conference that he also knew. He was just there's not a lot of people, I get it, people look at me and think I'm white, but only white, but I'm actually white and Mexican. And he's like, that experience. And I'm just like, dude, we don't need to talk. Not that I'm dismissing that side of me of being a person of color, being a black person, being, I'm just saying that this is not the right time. Listen to what I'm talking to you about. I'm a business owner. I could have a partnership with your company, XYZ. Listen to those topics. You telling me all sorts of stuff that is irrelevant to this conversation because you're trying to get a deeper connection with me and assuming what my lifestyle is like, what I am present like, and thinking that I need your hand up or hand out versus hearing me out. And it just got it got worse than that. But it's just allow people to tell you who they are and what they want, and allow yourself to believe them even if it doesn't look the way you want it to look. There's this and I'll say this last, and I know we're about to wrap up the conversation. There's this TikTok channel with they YNs, as they call themselves, these a group of black teenage kids, and maybe 18, 16 to 21 maybe. And it's they wear the ski mask, they have on the Nike tech suit, so they look like they hood. But the whole channel is YN's gonna get boba, YN's doing Pilates, YN's doing trampoline. So they're doing things that are typically seen as the suburban white girl activities. And it's just your brain starts to glitch. You're why is this person that looks like they are gonna scam me in Pilates and drinking ice cream? You know what I mean? Drinking a boba. And it's just your brain has to then settle down. It's because they're still a person.
They're still human.
These activities are not exclusively for Becky from the suburbs. A dude, from the projects wearing a ski mask can also partake in boba and Pilates and all sorts of frivolous things that we may look at in one way. And so it challenges us to not see only one version of what life and reality can look like. And I think that's what this is about. There is not one way. And even in the group of folks that people are deeming normal and not needing additional resources, it still is a spectrum within that, right? I love watching a show with some captions on because my brain moves a mile a minute. My kids they'll be like, Mom, you can't hear anything anymore. But I'm just I'm listening to the sync. I'm listening to this. I have to be zoned into making sure that we're safe, making sure that I hear y'all, the sounds that y'all make. And I'm overstimulated. So no, I didn't hear you yelling for me in the bathroom while I'm in the kitchen. I hear the sink, I hear the stove, and I hear outside to make sure nobody's robbing us. So your voice is underneath. It's not that I have a hearing issue. It's a lot going on because you don't have to tune into that because mom's got it. And then so now I tell them I'm teaching them the teenager. You got to tune in. So he knows we're underneath the train. He can tell you what direction the train is going in. And a lot of people will dismiss that skill and say, no, are you going to be on time or late? Because knowing what direction the train is coming from by hearing it under the track, you have to pick up on the sounds that you didn't realize mom was looped into this whole time. And that's what's happening. We have to not just listen, but just be aware of what's going on. And some people have to be more aware than others. And some people have the tools to be more aware than others. So how can we make sure that everyone has access to that awareness?
Ooh, I love this conversation.
Yeah.
I love this conversation.
Yeah, so any additional thoughts before we wrap up, ladies? Anything that we want to tell the audience?
Closing thoughts, I guess. I think for me, the closing thought, and I say this every time I have any sort of interview, is always do what you can where you are with what you have. And I say that as we have conversations about accessibility, about inclusion, about what have you, always think how you can move to be a better person, even if it's half a centimeter. strive to be a little bit better every time. Just do what you can where you are with what you have. You're a CEO, try to hire people with disabilities. You do marketing, make your content accessible. Just do your best and move forward.
Yeah.
And for me is don't make assumptions, always ask the person, and that is really how it helps you grow as a person. And just expose yourself, read books that with people with disabilities. And if you see someone, even ask them if they feel comfortable sharing, they will share. And don't be offended if they don't want to share. So yeah, ask and don't assume.
Yeah, and for me, it would always be to choose curiosity and courage over comfortability, right? And that ties into the quote that I shared with y'all yesterday. Every time I do a presentation, I share this quote from my book, which is, "Don't wait for life to force you to make a change. Make that change consciously and on your own time." Right? Be proactive, because being reactive is expensive for everyone involved. It's mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially taxing. So how can we be courageous and curious versus staying stuck and comfortable for that time? Like, move before you need to, because you're gonna always have to move. Life is is constantly in motion. So be curious, be courageous, and be in motion with that. Bye, y'all. Bye.